You know, the official story is there were no explosions. There were no explosions. There were no explosives. There were no explosions that brought those buildings down. The official story is that the impact of the aircraft with the heat of the fire weakened the structure, which allowed the collapse. Will you take a look? Please take a look and look closely.
I mean, why would you waste your time? You can't do anything about it. Nothing you can do. You're just a little teeny flea on the butt of the gorilla that they are. Why should we do anything? I'm going back to bed.
Really want to speculate about that. The number of casualties will be more than any of us can bear ultimately. I don't think we will know the answer to that until sometime tomorrow or the next day.
Were there large numbers of firefighters?
There are a large number of firefighters and police officers who are in harm's way, and we don't know how many we've lost. But there's no doubt we've lost some firefighters and police officers.
Do you know anything about the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
We
Second explosion?
we believe that it was caused by the after effects of the planes hitting the buildings. We don't know of an additional explosion.
Now, let me get this straight. What?
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something?
No. Can't be. Where?
Caused by the after effects of the planes hitting the
On this planet? How? Why? No. Can't believe
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
Why does Mr. Mayor of New York City need to have a piece of paper to answer a question about explosions that brought the buildings down?
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
We
Second explosion?
we believe
All going according to plan. That's kind of what they said.
Second explosion?
we believe
Second explosion?
we believe that it was caused by the after effects of the planes hitting the buildings. We don't know of an additional explosion.
What is that about? He admits that they believe that the explosion that brought the buildings down were caused by the after effects of the aircraft hitting the building. Because he didn't answer the question, don't know what you're talking about. He answered it, we believe the explosion, that was the result of the after effect of the planes hitting the buildings. Will you take a look at that again?
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else? Second explosion?
we believe that it was caused by the after effects of the planes hitting the buildings. We don't know of an additional explosion.
Right, whatever. Whatever.
Report that 8 planes have been hijacked, 4 have only been accounted for. What about the remaining 4? And is there any possibility that there could be bombs on the ground planted by...
We have no specific information to that effect. Obviously, the city is now closed. The airspace around the city is closed, and we are on heightened alert.
By the way, if you can't hear the audio on the second question was a woman explains that there were 8 blips that day.
Recently there was a report that 8 planes have been hijacked, 4 have only been accounted for.
There were 8 aircraft that were reported they saw on the radars hijacked.
Recently there was a report that 8 planes have been hijacked, 4 have only been accounted for.
And then only 4 were accounted for. Do they know anything about the other ones? And oh, by the way,
More bombs, more planes.
there are reports that there are people on the ground maybe setting bombs off.
More bombs, more planes.
Do you know anything about teams, there's a possibility of teams on the ground setting bombs off? And if you
Bombs on the ground planted by...
here, maybe I'm reaching, but it seems like a signal to let's get out of here. It seems like a let's close this thing up.
Bombs on the ground planted by...
Because it's at a really high, intense question where, again, The second question asked in the first news conference for Mr. Giuliani is, what about these explosions going on?
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
No explosions.
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
And he says he knows nothing about explosions. As a matter of fact, later in the press conference,
There was a gas leak or possible explosion.
We don't believe it. We don't believe that's the
no explosions. He explains, somebody gives them an out and says, could it be gas? Could there be broken gas mains?
There was a gas leak or possible explosion.
We don't believe it. We don't believe that's the
Could gas pockets be exploding? And these guys said, no explosions. The gas has been turned off. That's impossible. No explosions, none whatsoever.
I don't know the answer to this.
Mr. Mayor, I told us a gas explosion related to this. Are you aware of that? There was a gas leak or possible explosion.
We don't believe it. We don't believe that's the case.
Mr. Mayor, can you tell us anything about...
No explosions. This is all the efficiency of terrorists that were able to turn these planes into super blowtorches that disintegrated the entire building. Had nothing to do with explosions.
Case.
Mr. Mayor, can you tell us anything about...
Explosions would be something they did.
Case.
Mr. Mayor, can you tell us anything about...
Report with that. But there can't be explosions. Thanks, son. Thanks for the question. We're going to leave now.
I really don't want to hear anything you have to say. Please leave. Are you talking bad about my administration?
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else? Bombs on the ground planted by... There was second explosion.
We believe...
More bombs, more planes. There was second explosion.
We believe...
Bombs on the ground planted by... More bombs, more planes.
I don't know the answer to this.
Mr. Mayor, I told us a gas explosion related to this. Are you aware...
Bombs on the ground planted by...
No explosions. Had nothing to do with explosions. No explosions.
There was a gas leak or possible explosion.
We don't believe it. We don't believe that's the case.
Mr. Mayor, can you tell us anything about...
Had nothing to do with explosions.
Case.
Mr. Mayor, can you tell us anything about...
No explosions.
where the planes come from, where the aircraft came from?
Bill Diamond reminds me that we've turned off the gas in the city buildings, just to be certain.
Can you tell us
as a
anything
precaution?
about where the...
No explosions. Had nothing to do with explosions.
That means the media lied to us? No, the news media? They can't lie to us. No, that can't be legal. There's no way they lied to us.
The officials say. They are also expressing...
We believe...
a certain... amount of what I think is best described as anger at the comments by the Afghan government, by the Taliban government, and the officials say. They are also expressing a certain amount of what I think is best described as expressing a certain amount of what I think is best described as expressing a certain amount of what I think is best described as anger.
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else? Cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
Into that space.
I don't know that it will ever be safe. I think the rescue people that are in there trying to save people are very much at risk, as they always are in these kinds of disasters. That the structure is always, when you have a pile of rubble like this, the structure is always
Someone into that space.
I don't know that
Someone into that space.
I don't know that...
About the cause of the explosions that brought the two buildings down yet? Was it caused by the planes or by something else?
Thank you very much, Nick. And again, we apologize for the delay in the audio there. It is because Again, we apologize for the delay in the audio there. It is because Nick, again, we apologize for the delay in the audio there. It is because Nick is on.
I have not seen this. Boy, it's dramatic. These are the pictures from the ground as the towers come down. Cameras rolling, pointed at the tower.
And you know what, Steve?
Watch this cloud just come right up the street.
You know what this reminds me of? If you've seen an avalanche, and what's happening is all of that material is coming down and displacing the air, and in an avalanche,
the air is rushing.
You will have a 120-mile-an-hour wind, and basically what you're seeing is an avalanche on the streets of Manhattan right now. And watch as that debris approaches the camera, and people are literally knocked off their feet as they are running away from it. It is absolutely incredible.
And you get this kind of thing with an implosion. We've seen several times where cameras are just set up too close to one of those things, and you never can overestimate how far this debris comes when something like this happens.
It'll travel miles.
Rips right up the street and just
of course, no one suspected at all that one, much less both towers, would come down. We were all focused on the planes that had smashed into the side and getting those poor people that were trapped out of these buildings. All right, there at the bottom of your screen, some important information as well. Richardson ISD evening classes are canceled as a precaution. TCU as well, classes are canceled today. A lot of facilities and schools want to keep people there safe. University of Dallas evening classes are also canceled.
Look at the panic on the streets of New York. And again, as Julia said, people thinking, well, there was an explosion at the top of the buildings. Let's stand here and watch it. And my gosh, unbelievable. When those two buildings just literally collapsed onto themselves.
And you know, Dr. Cooper's been saying all along, the reaction we see on those people's faces is exactly what those terrorists want. They rejoice in the damage, but also just the terror is where they win. You know, unsettling the American people, and that's what they're looking for.
And now begins the long process of beginning to debrief ourselves and the families and the tragedy and what has unfolded, and where do we go from here?
Yeah.
That means the media lied to us? No, the news media, they can't lie to us. No, that can't be legal. There's no way they lied to us.
Phone. Rose, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Judy.
What are you seeing? Tell us where you are.
I am about 2 blocks north of where the World Trade Center used to be standing, and I'm surrounded by firefighters who are just watching helplessly. They've had to suspend their rescue operation, and they're just watching a burning hulk of building right now. The front part of the World Trade Center has completely sheared off, as well as many of the upper floors. And every few minutes you'll hear like a small sort of a rumbling sound, almost like an explosion sound, and another chunk of it will come flying down into the street, creating a situation where rescue personnel just have not been able to get close to this building now for over an hour.
Rose, how close are they to the building?
I'd say the closest people are probably about 2 blocks north of there, just in front of where I am. I spoke to a firefighter a few minutes ago that said that he had to stand there and watch helplessly as at least a dozen people leapt from the upper floors of this building during a fire.
Rose, when the mayor was asked this question at a news conference a little while ago, he said he wasn't able to answer, but given your vantage point, can you tell how large a perimeter, how many square blocks are we talking about that's been devastated?
Well, I'd say that at least, you know, up to 4 blocks north, really 5 blocks north of the World Trade Center, there is debris on top of buildings. There are buildings that have been pierced by debris. The streets are covered with several inches of soot and literally pieces of people's desks. You know, there's office supplies. You know, where I'm standing right now, I can see there's letters on the floor. There's one woman's resume. There's some insurance papers. You know, things that clearly came from inside that building.
And Rose, where, again, you are how close to what's going on here?
I'm about, I'd say about 2.5 blocks north of the World Trade Center.
And are you still seeing victims injured being taken away or walking away, or is
No, right now there's absolutely nobody that's getting anywhere close to that building. There's just a huge and enormous pieces of debris just falling one right after the other. And as I said, firefighters a lot of them are just standing here helpless, you know, wanting to go in and try to fight the fire, but just can't get any closer because of safety problems. There's just a huge and enormous pieces of debris just falling one right after the other.
Well, hell, I guess I'm going to have to move to Canada or Mexico. What about Cuba? They letting Cuba open?